Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. It's transfer deadline day. There's still a few hours to go, but it's been dead closed for Manchester United for a few hours now. Manchester United have shut the door on the transfer day, deadline day, and I think it's an absolute disgrace. Lots to get into. I'm sure you're going to have strong opinions as well, but fundamentally, I think you cannot hide behind what I'm about to say now. I've seen some people I respect, some people I don't respect, saying exactly this. The season is over. There's no point spending money we don't have now, which could cost us money in the summer that we could be spending on anybody else. We've got to cut our cloth accordingly. We can't take risks. And I say to those people, at what point did you fall over and ram your head up INEOS's arse? Because I seem to recall we are football fans. We are not fucking accountants. So why are you talking like one? Why are you making excuses for them? What are you talking about PSR? What are you talking about we can't take risks? What are you talking about the season's over? What are you talking about we've got no money? We're Manchester United. We've got no money because the Glazers are still here. There was a way out. There was a way out and INEOS kept them here. So why should I sit here and go, I understand it. We've got to cut our cloth accordingly. We can't take any risks. We haven't got any money. I didn't choose that. I didn't choose that. You didn't choose that. So why are you defending that? And as for PSR, I thought most of you had watched the video last week. Maybe it needs to get shared out a little bit. PSR is killing us because we pay tens of millions of pounds a year in interest payments on debt that's not coming down. Those tens of millions of pounds is our revenue that's paying their debt. Those tens of millions of pounds would buy us strikers in January. Buy us strikers in January. So these people need to remove their head from the arse and actually understand there is no sympathy vote for people who put us in this position. And it's a weird thing. It's almost like somebody robs you and then you feel sorry for them. And well, I know it wasn't their money, but you know, we need to understand why they've done it. And I think, why? Why do we need to do it? And also, for those people who don't want to take a risk, football is risk. You know, in the last 5 minutes in the new camp in 1999, when Sir Alex Ferguson was chucking on attacker after attacker, was he taking a risk? When you look through our history, did we take risks? Do other clubs take risks? Why are we suddenly talking about we can't take risks? Every bloody football club that's been successful takes risks. And this is what I mean. Some of our fans are being indoctrinated. I've heard some right shit today. And I mean, look, by all means come back. But I've heard some absolute shit today. I think they're being brainwashed. I think people are being brainwashed. We can't take risks. The season's over anyway. We've got to apply with PSR. The Glazers put us in this mess. INEOS have helped them stay in that mess. Not spending money has never been a recipe for success. And the season is not over. The third point is the season is not over. There's something called the Europa League. I mean, look, I've got to say, there's so much to go through. There's a brilliant video falling tomorrow at 7 a.m. as well. Remember, step one was explaining PSR and how the debt the Glazers have put us in screws us over on PSR, because some people didn't seem to know that. Step two tomorrow is going to be very interesting about why the Glazers won't sell Man United as well. But that's for tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock when the transfer window is shut. But lend. I tell you what, if INEOS want £5 million to buy, to get, I heard what Ricky said, the cheeky shit. He's richer than me. He's always bloody on holiday. Bloody Judith Chalmers FC, if you know, you know. Alan Wicker. But the point is, they used to do holiday programs in the 80s. But he's always on holiday. He should be sponsored by bloody Jet too. But anyway, he's obviously rattled me. Well done, Ricky. But if Man United wanted 5 million, then we could have had a whip round. We could have had a whip round. I'd have held the whip for the Glazers, actually. But no, seriously, they £5 million. We'll talk about Tell in a moment, but I'm sort of on a roll here because I just want to talk about this. Every transfer window, and I heard UTD Menace, brilliant tweet. He basically had a picture of Sir Jim Radcliffe and Joel Glazer. And Sir Jim Radcliffe is saying to Joel Glazer, the fans are really angry with me because I've messed up the transfer window. And then Joel Glazer says, don't worry, in 4 hours it'll be shut and the fans can't do anything and they'll forget all about it. Also, just make sure you send a tweet to Samuel Looker so he can put out that don't worry about we're not buying anyone now. We're going to buy Vinicius Jr. and Cole Palmer in the summer. And that'll do. And it's so true. Spin, 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 spin. And this is the disappointing thing about INEOS, is that I really do think more by the day, they become more and more a puppet to the Glazers. And like I say, tomorrow morning is going to be very interesting because I don't want to give anything away, but it's just, I obviously know something you don't know. Well, a few of us know it now, but it's just another indication of something that's happening at the club that we thought INEOS was responsible for, but it's actually the Glazers. And more and more, I'm just like, they literally are the British passport, sir, who the local lad, British guy, who has good connections with the government, it's almost like it's perfect for the Glazers to front it up and carry on doing what they're doing. And I look at the situation, and I know that Manchester Evening News spin's coming out tomorrow morning, and it actually came out early. They've literally put it out in the last hour, right? Manchester United, listen to this brilliant, brilliant thing that has got more holes than a bloody hedgehog's lilo, right? Manchester United are happy with the business they've done in the January transfer window, and so is Ruben Amorim. Yeah, that's why Ruben Amorim yesterday said he was, I mean, they couldn't lie straight in bed. Ruben Amorim is apparently happy with the business that they've done in the January transfer window, according to the Manchester Evening News. And yet, yesterday, he said, we're desperate for players. We know the players we want, and we're desperate to get players in. But he's happy with the win. I mean, it's literally, it's playing to thick people, isn't it? That's what it's doing. But even better than that, goes on to say, Man United have not invested in a striker in January because they're going to spend big in the summer. And this happens every fucking transfer window with that outlet. The day after a transfer window closes and it's been a shit one, Man United are going to spend big in the next window. And we never bloody do. We never do. It's just spin, spin, spin. And can I just explain to you, we haven't got the money to spend big in January. We know that. That's why they were trying to sell Garnacho. So what's this bollocks that we've decided not to spend in January because we're going to spend in the summer big? Well, we haven't got the money. You've been telling us all month we haven't got the money. So where's the money coming from in the summer to spend big? And also, if you're not in Europe in the summer, you're pleading poverty anyway. I guarantee you in May, they'll be talking about FFP and PSR again and going, oh, it's tight, it's tight. We are in big trouble if we're not in Europe. Big, big trouble. I've seen a few United fans today saying, oh, I'm fed up of all these United fans moaning about us not doing any business. You know, where everyone knows it's going to take patience. The season's over anyway. Chuck a few kids in and let's see what happens in the summer. And I'm like, chuck a few kids in and let's see what happens. Oh, the season is over. I don't think people realise the absolute cliff edge we are dangling off right now. No European football is no European revenue. Chelsea earn tens of millions of pounds being in that shit Conference League. It's still money. We earn about £50 million being in the Europa League, and it's a lot more in the Champions League. If you don't have that money, you don't have that money in your books. You can't magic it out your arse. We are in big shit if we're not in Europe next year. Big shit. It's revenue we expect and we don't have. We are not expecting not to be in Europe next season. And yet, the chances of it really do rest on Europa League win. Or an FA Cup win again. We've got to win one of those trophies. And yet people are saying, don't matter that we haven't done anything in the January transfer window. Martinez is out for the season. That wasn't expected. So that's our only left-sided centre-back gone. We haven't got a strike. We've let two wingers go. We've just let a left-back go. And we're going to be all right. We're going to be absolutely fine. As I said, we have owners that don't want to take risks in a sport where you need to take risks. You need to take risks. And the funny thing is, we're almost parallel to Spurs. Spurs are not going to get into Europe through the league. Their only chance really is to win the Europa League. Same as us. What have Spurs done? What have we done? They've done that Tell deal. We didn't do it. We didn't do the Tell deal because we didn't want to spend £5 million and we were worried that he might go back to Bayern in the summer. I mean, what a bunch of bollocks. Again, do people think we're thick? So, yeah, Man United made the right choice about Tell. They wanted to do a loan deal, but Bayern Munich wanted £5 million and they wouldn't do an obligation to buy. So Man United were like, why should we take him on loan and then he goes back to you in the summer if he's done really well? Well, for £5 million, he might get you in the Champions League and you get £80 million. Also, might just be a thought, but the last time I saw Tell, he wasn't a fucking robot. So if he comes to Old Trafford and really enjoys it, he ain't going to go back to Bayern, is he? I mean, this is how thick people are. I can see people online going, you know what, I actually agree with INEOS on this. We can't be paying £5 million for a striker that Bayern want back in the summer. Oh yeah, because that's how it's going to work, isn't it? He scores the goals and he goes, I want to go back to Bayern now. Come on. People will swallow any shit they get fed from that football club at times. It's absolutely incredible. And yet Spurs have done that deal because they want to take a risk. And part of me thinks, but I'll bloody laugh my head off if Spurs get Europa League and we don't, win the Europa League and we don't, but I won't laugh, I'll be bloody crying. You've got to take risks, and this club doesn't want to take risks. And I'm still lost on Sir Jim Radcliffe coming in at the start and going, well, at the end of the day, you know, as much as I love the Glazers, and he didn't actually say this, I'm paraphrasing, at the end of the day, the football club's been run like a business, and we want to run it like a football club. We don't want to run it like a business. And here we are a year later being run like a fucking business. We're not being run like a football club. We're being run like a business. And the best one before we get into some other stuff, the best one, the creme de la creme, the one that takes the absolute biscuit. I don't know who reported it. Could have been The Athletic. Could have been The Telegraph. Could have been the Manchester Evening News. Could have been Simon Stone. But it came out this afternoon. Somebody in the chat will be able to tell me. I think it might have been Simon Stone in the BBC. Manchester United, the January transfer window for Manchester United has been about getting their house in order ahead of the summer transfer window. Okay. Yeah. Why don't you get your coat and fuck off? Seriously, you haven't got a bloody clue how to run a football club. Your track record at Nice is shit and you've got into bed with the worst owners in football history. That's what we're looking at here. The January transfer window was about getting our house in order. Right, okay. In what area is our house in order in January? Marcus Rashford is on loan at a Premier League club where it could massively bite us in the arse. Martinez is injured and you've not done anything about it. We didn't play with a striker yesterday and we haven't got a striker in today. You've got rid of 2 wingers and not brought any in at all. So what house are you getting in order? And you're getting your house in order to prepare for the summer. What happens when you get your house in order and you come back to your house in the summer and the Glazers have burgled you? Because that's what's happening here. Morons. What shit do they think we're going to swallow as fans? I mean, every look, I'll take any statement and say, to be fair, I think that's true. But everything they've put out today is it's catered for morons. It really is full of holes. January was about getting our transfer window in order. January was about getting our house in order in preparation for the summer. Mate, do you realise what's going to happen in the summer if we're not in Europe? You're acting like you've got money to spend. It's just spin. It's spin, spin, spin. They may as well come out tomorrow and say we're link us to Cole Palmer. They may as well do it because that's the sort of idiots they think Man United fans are. They really do treat us like the village idiot. And it's amazing that some people actually take the hat and put it on. It really, really is. But look, we will talk about where we're at. We will talk about what is to come. But I genuinely do think that I didn't think it would be this bad. I didn't. I really didn't. I didn't think it would be this bad because I understand that money is tight, but I also understand why money is tight. And I'm still lost on, we sacked Ten Hag at a cost of about £15 million. We bought Amorim in at a cost of about £10 million, £25 million. We made him come in November when he didn't want to. And then we've delivered that festering, steaming pile of shit of a window when the team is in the bottom half of the table and our only salvation is the Europa League. And we're sort of like going, hey, you thought your job was bad in November? It's even worse now. Do your magic. And I think Amorim must be looking at it going, what the fuck? What the fuck do you expect me to do? Like, I hope you've got money for the statue, because I'm going to bloody need it if we win the Europa League. It's incredible the job he's got ahead of him now. It really is. And I don't really... As I say, watch the video at 7 o'clock tomorrow. But I genuinely do think this. This INEOS Glazer plan is about 5 years' time. Everything they're doing is about speculation in the future. Buying loads of young players, the stadium rebuild and the regeneration of the area, and the concerts at Old Trafford, and the NFL games and the entertainment hubs. They're not there, and they're not going to be there for a very long time. Everything I look at Man United, it's like in 5 years. But that's not football. That's not how football works. Football's about today. It's never about tomorrow. And it's almost like, there'll be people in their 70s who are like, I won't even be alive to see what's going to happen. But I'm not saying I'm going to die at 80, but you know what I mean? It's about the now. And the biggest issue I think many United fans have is that even if you wanted to give them patience, this is why we wanted you to fuck off. This is why we wanted you to fuck off with your debt. Because nobody wants to give you any patience, and nobody wants to wait another 5 years. We've been shit for 12 years now. Why have we got to wait another 5 years? I don't trust them. I do not trust them. I'd love it to work. I would absolutely love it to work, but I don't trust them. And there is no excuse for a transfer window that echoes every bloody transfer window we've had under the Glazers. Absolutely none. And when I hear lines like Man United are getting the house in order and they're planning for the summer transfer window, all I can hear is John Murtough. And John Murtaugh's been sacked. And John Murtough worked for the Glazers. And John Murtough was a Glazer mouthpiece. So when I hear an INEOS United saying that they're planning for the summer and there's no value in the January transfer window, I just hear John Murtough or Ed Woodward, and I hear the Glazers. So I think that INEOS are Glazer mouthpieces, because I've heard this so many bloody times. We're waiting for the next window to do business. We don't like doing business in January. We like to do business in the summer. That's where the real value is. And as I said on the video on That's Football, if you haven't seen it, if you're running a race and there's a half time, and at the half time you can have a drink, change your trainers, have a foot massage and a motivational speech, you're going to take it, because you're going to run the second half of the race better. If you are at half time in that race and you say, can I have a drink and a foot massage and a new pair of trainers, and your boss says, nah, we've spent it all at the start of the season. He's having a fucking drink. She's having a foot massage. How am I supposed to run well at the end? Well, we're waiting until the end of the race for the next race. But this race isn't finished. Literally, if you give me one of them energy drinks and a foot massage, I'll run better and I might catch up and do something. I'm not going to do well in the second half, am I? I'm tired. My ankle's hurting. And this is it. But Manchester United, again, think you're so thick that they try to convince you that, nah, no point in doing anything halfway through a race. Wait for the next race. There's no point. There's no benefit doing anything halfway through the race. It's not like if we give you an energy boost and a pair of trainers, you're going to run better. No, you just carry on with what you've got. And this is the shit they sell us every year. They try to convince you that, nah, you don't need to do anything in January. Nah, it's a stupid time to do it. Man City have bought 3 players. Man City's season's over, by the way. Man City have bought 2 defenders that aren't ready yet, and Mamouche. They're actually trying to get someone else in now. They're not going to win the league. They're not going to win the Champions League. But what they've done it for is, let's get them in now and let's build for next season, because then they're ready to go at the start of next season. I think Arsenal are stupid not getting a striker in, because at least they'll be ready for next season if you don't win the league now. So Chelsea did it with Enzo Fernandez and a few others. Get them in January, bed them in for the start of next season. Man United sell this ridiculous theory that, no, it's good not to do anything in January. It's good to wait till the summer. It's all about the money. It's always about money. It's about June the 30th. It's about the financial year. And it's about, we'll spend on July the 1st and we'll blow it all, and then we can't spend it in January again. That's what we do. We blow everything we've got in July, and then it's all gone until the following July. And that's why we are where we are. And that's why we're not getting Simple as that. I will go through some of the bits, but I want to catch up with some of your comments. There's loads coming in. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. And do not miss the video at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. I think you're going to find it interesting. Some of you might find it annoying. Some of you might find it exciting. What I will say is, even if you find it exciting, and I do, we're in for a long wait. But it will explain, I think, why the Glazers are still here and why they were never selling the football club. Step one was last week explaining about the PSR and how PSR shouldn't mean selling Garnacho or Mainu. It's all about the debt and the debt repayments, and it kills us every year. Step two is going to be the big question, why the Glazers were never going and why they never will. So we're looking at that. And hopefully people will start watching these videos, educating themselves, and start thinking about how we collectively have a say in the future of our football club. Because at the moment, the treatment of fans is just, they think we're idiots. I'd be insulted. I'd be insulted some of the stuff they put out again today about waiting till the summer, big signings in the summer, putting the house in order now. It's just spin, spin, spin. Nev says, Welbeck to United. No chance. New stadium, yes. Transfers for a new coach. Sorry, mate. Well, it is a bit tight. Where are the funds for the stadium coming from anyways, as INEOS, Alex said. Every time Glinios is mentioned here, they should be described as the worst owners in the history of the modern game. Every single time, forever. We can brand them with this label, with this community, says Corey. Moyes versus Amorim based on squad versus result. I'm not interested. Not interested. David Moyes has already managed Man United, Sam. He can piss off. I don't care what he's doing at Everton. He's Jurassic Park. I don't want to talk about David Moyes. And how we compare? I mean, look, what's that then, Sam? Is that the drip effect of turning on the manager? Is that what some people are doing? Shame on you. Shame on you. I mean, we've just spent 20 minutes talking about how shit the club's running, but let's burn another manager. Come on. I expected better from Baradas as Red Devil, considering he oversaw many successful teams at City, but he's been nothing but a disappointment. Yeah, I mean, is it early days with Barada? Is his hands tied, or is he just another bit, Glazer shill? Is he just there to, be a puppet and do what they ask? Deadline day is done, Adil. There's nothing happening. Man United have put it out there already a couple of hours ago. It's over. There's nothing going to happen. Alan Noonan says, we have shameful owners who want to bleed our club dry. Time to get lost. Kana Dave says, if I lived in Manchester, I'd be in front of the stadium protesting, but I can't. What do you suggest international fans do? Why aren't local fans protesting? Look, Kana Dave, I'm not going to take a pop at any Man United fan who's not protesting, because most of us aren't protesting. Everyone goes to games. Everyone's buying the third goalkeeper kit. If you want to make, if there's going to be change, then United fans need to stop arguing with each other. And unfortunately, I see it every single day, and I'm sure you do. There'll be people clipping me up now going, it's his fault. Morons. Glazer apologists who won't put aside their difference with fans to make the club better. People would rather argue and compete against each other than actually do what the club needs. And we're trying as a community this year to listen to what you're saying and trying to do stuff, even though I've always been reluctant to do it, because I don't think that's what the United stand should be. But we're trying this year to just very gently sort of nudge people to listen and learn and unite and try and come together, because I think that where this football club is heading is very, very worrying. We are basically in the hands of people that I don't trust. And whilst they could still earn that trust, they're very arrogant people who don't want to communicate. And I think they've been really poor owners for the first year in charge. And I think the Glazers have been terrible for 20 years. And look, I'm still waiting for all those people who told us that Qatar was evil and INEOS and the Glazers was the way forward. Where are they now? Can you explain to us what the plan is? Because I really am struggling to see what the plan is here. I'm really struggling to see that this isn't a cash grab around a stadium redevelopment funded by the government that's going to help Man United make money and increase the value of the football club. Because the football club's going to increase in value as soon as that stadium's built. But it doesn't mean we have to have a good football pitch. United have 4 attacking players. 2 of them have had history with injuries, says Isaac. It's a joke, mate. The biggest coup in football, the Glazers, says Vita. What would you rate this transfer window, says Reese? I like Dorgu. I like the younger lads that have come in, Leon and Heaven, but they're pure potential. I would rate this transfer window as a 2. And that's only because of Dorgu. I think it's a 2. I think even Rashford going was to a Premier League club's failure. What would you... anyway, let me know in the chat. If we have no European football next season, you can kiss players like Kuna, Quenda and Gyökeres goodbye. Emily, this is it. This is exactly it. You get the mouthpiece from Manchester Evening News saying Man United aren't buying a striker now because they're waiting till the summer to bring in a significant signing. How thick do they think you are? Like, if we're not in Europe, you're not getting Gyökeres. You're not getting Osimhen. Like, they're not coming. And they're not coming because they don't want to. They're not coming because Man United won't have the money. Why do people lie? Why do these journalists, who are not journalists, they're just client journalists, they're clients of Manchester United. Man United tell them stuff and they type it. They don't question it. Hey, Manchester Evening News, we haven't bought anyone in January because guess what? We're buying a top striker in the summer. Great. They don't question it. Well, we'll question it. How does that work? How do you buy a top striker in the summer when you're not in Europe and a player probably doesn't want to come, but you haven't got the money to do it anyway because you've just lost a load of money? What are you going to do? Sell Garnacho and Mainu to buy Gyökeres who won't come anyway? But it's so boring. It's so boring because we're at a point now where the mainstream don't question anything. They just take the news and put it out there. And it's... To be honest with you, it's why fan content is growing so much, because we're the only people who are actually questioning it with a bloody level head. INEOS told they would put United back where it belongs. This is how it's going to be, says Glazers out. ISO Magic says this isn't good. I think Amorim's going to walk in the summer. We're not even run like a business, says Edward. We're simply run like a shit. Got these idiots out. No Champions League and the debt means 140 million gone. How greedy can one be, says Edward Newgate. Well, look, you make a good point. If we don't qualify for Europe, that's about £50 million whole in our budget. We'll still be paying about 30, 40, 50 on interest on the debt. So you're right. It's 100 million hole in our budget next season that we've got to find. And I tell you what worries me is that you don't qualify for Europe, you're still paying the debt on PSR, and suddenly it's not a maybe, it's a have to sell a Mainu or Garnacho, but you can't replace them because the funds from Mainu or Garnacho goes to help the club survive because it's not in Europe and pay its debt. So you don't even sell Garnacho or Mainu so you can buy a player, you sell them to cover the issue that you've lost money. And then you really are Everton because then your team's getting worse and you can't replace the players you're letting go. Can you wish the missus 21st birthday, says Richard. Happy birthday to Lucy. Welcome to the Members Club, Thomas Perry French. Supporting United is like being the guy who falls off the Titanic and hits the propeller. We go from bad to worse in the most painful way possible, says Andreas. Red Army, get ready for this. It will be a load of shit. I'm just telling you now. I don't know why I read it, but here we go. If the debt was cleared, revenue would significantly decrease. Billionaires use debt to not pay tax. Paying it off gradually like INEOS are better PSR. You are talking absolute shit, mate. What are you talking about? You should come with a propaganda warning. So if the debt was cleared, revenue would significantly decrease. Mate, what's the revenue got to do with the Glazers' debt? We earn money from sponsorship, selling shirts, TV deals. Revenue all comes from that. How's the revenue going to go down if the Glazers clear the debt? Debt doesn't generate revenue. We get our revenue from money coming into the club from sponsors, TV deals, merchandise. The revenue will be the same with or without the debt. But without the debt, we won't have to pay the debt. We don't have to pay the interest on the debt, so we wouldn't be losing money. Oh, mate, I worry about you. I genuinely think you, do it for a laugh. I actually think, after all this time, I feel an absolute moron, because you are a troll, aren't you? You're sat at home doing this on purpose. I've figured it out. You actually do just go, how can I wind Goldbridge up and the chat? The revenue actually increases if we haven't got debt. Anyway, Joe, thank you very much. Welcome to the Members Club. How do you rate the Juventus keeper, says Darren. I'm not looking at keepers at the moment. Devon says, I'm just happy we retained Garnacho. Well, it's not a bad point, but we never should have been thinking about selling him in the first place. The fact that we haven't even looked at a centre-back after Martinez's injury is ridiculous, says Jacob. We've got Johnny Evans, haven't we? Alvaro Perez, welcome to the Members Club. Thanks for getting your badge in. Daniel Sturtridge says, I can't believe people are defending INEOS on PSR and FFP when they're the ones who put us in this situation. Why defend someone whose fault it is? I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Surely there's a loan somewhere we can do for a centre-forward, says Neil Curran. And Amorim has even less to work with now than he did last week. Hope Dorgu walks, but he's young and needs time. Rookie, the Explorer, says, Mark, is there a way I can reach out and send you a private email or message? That's football@gmail.com. Sean Turner's in the chat. Hello, Sean. He says, there was 0 point bringing in Ruben in. Should have let him stay at Sporting till the summer like he wanted. I completely agree with this. There is no point bringing him in. Absolutely none. He hasn't got the players, so whoever he's working with, he's going to have to change in the summer anyway. There is 0 point in bringing him in. You're absolutely correct. I also want to know what's happening to the wages we are saving from our outgoings. Mate, it's just helping the club survive. Carl says, I love you. Carl's gifted 5 memberships. Love you, Carl. Why INEOS PR accounts became reliable sources, says Mario Franco. Nate, I'm glad you've seen it as well. It's amazing how aggregators are getting bits of information that you would normally get from Ornstein and Romano, and yet they're so pro INEOS and the Glazers. They're mouthpieces, mate. And as somebody who was apparently on the payroll of, what was the name of the agency that Ten Hag had? It makes me laugh how it's staring you right in the face in 4K that there are certain accounts out there who are clearly getting info from the Glazers and have done for years. And it is the Glazers because they were getting the info before INEOS. So people say it's INEOS, it's the Glazers. Glazers do this because they know English people are soft, says Parker. The club depresses me. I love Man United, but damn, says Ricardo. Mark, I know you don't like to talk about ex-players, but how good and useful would Mason Greenwood be right now, says Reese. I don't want to talk about it, Reese, because it's an irrelevance. And whether I wanted Greenwood to stay or not, which I didn't, and I will own that, half the fan base didn't want him here. It would have been an absolute nightmare. He had to go. There's no... Trust me, that's not what... And also, it deflects. Like, starting talking about Mason Greenwood going, what's that got to do with the fact that the club is being run into the ground? That's a small issue. Spin, Spin, Sugar. I know that song, says Carl. Can't believe we didn't get another forward in some discretion. It's going to cost us dearly, says Glenn Castle. Screw INEOS, says George. Scandinavian 88 has been a member for 23 months. Absolutely brilliant. Can't spell Ratcliffe without a rat. Yeah, you lot will be in Old Trafford on Friday, says Sully Jr. Look, I genuinely think that and it's not my place to say this, but I think we all know this. If somebody said to me tomorrow, you are in charge of getting the Glazers out and that the entire Man United fan base is behind you, there are certain things that you would do. You would empty Old Trafford. So difficult to do, but if every United fan was behind you, you would empty Old Trafford or half empty Old Trafford or even a quarter empty Old Trafford. You don't have to completely empty it. Just make it look empty. You would stop buying merchandise. You would target every single sponsor. You would unfollow every sponsor. You would unfollow every journalist that is a journalist for Manchester United. You would stop reading any news outlet that is pro-Man United. You would stop buying kits. You would unsubscribe from MUTV. You would unsubscribe from Sky. You wouldn't just protest outside grounds, you would protest outside sponsors and everything like that. But God, anybody could come up with a list like that and a longer list than that. And I'm sure Must and the 58 had lists like that. But God, it's so difficult to do it when you've got a divided fan base and some people don't want to listen. And they only want to listen because of what's happened in the transfer window. I've said this and I'm not slagging off any United fan. But if we'd bought Tell today, we wouldn't be having this chat. I would, you wouldn't. Some of you wouldn't because the Glazers know how to play you. They know exactly what to do. And that's why tomorrow we'll be linked to Gyökeres strongly or Kenda or someone like that because they know what to do. They know what to do to stay in power. They've done it for 20 years. And whatever you want to say, they're very clever people. People think that they know nothing about football. They probably shout touchdown when we score, but they know about business and they know how to manipulate you lot and they know how to manipulate me. And that's why they've survived. They're like cockroaches. They'll just keep surviving. And they're not going anywhere. Watch the video tomorrow. Honk the Trumpet says, if I remember rightly, this year the summer transfer window ends when the season begins for English clubs. Means we've got a month less. Yes, Andreas says, remember this, the season Sir Jim invested into the club is to have his name on the new stadium and immortalise himself and his family's income. All the cuts and price hikes, they can't pay for a cent striker to improve our chances in the competitions we're still in. I can't get over it, says Muntasir. Honestly think the manager should go, says Kevin. I think the sad thing about the manager is how long do they cut his wings? How long, I mean, it's only a theory, but the manager is in trouble. You don't give him any players. You let him get into more trouble, so you get him in your hand. How long before Amorim stops speaking honestly? How long before Amorim starts talking about being happy in the window? How long before Amorim becomes a Glazer bitch? It happened to every manager we have. You weaken them, and then you get them in the palm of the hand, and then you screw them up and you throw them out, and they become the problem. Did it not happen to Jose? Did it not happen to Oli? Did it not happen to Ten Hag? The cycle is still there, by the way. The cycle is still there. As long as they can spit out a manager and project all the blame onto them, this will continue as well. What if Arsenal get Gyökeres before July marks, as Anders? I hope they fucking do. I can't see us getting Gyökeres, not unless we get European football. Can the supporters put another bid together to buy our club back, says Duncan. Mate, you're never going to get... Look, I know I keep saying this, but you need to watch the video at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, because then you're going to start to understand why they were never going to sell, and they never are going to sell, because the value of this football club that we never understood why they wanted 6-7 billion, you're going to start to understand it. They're not going anywhere, because they know the value of that football club is going up, and it is going to go up. Rashford, even if we're shit on the pitch, it's going to go up. Rashi is clearly... Ash, you can't say that, and I'm not reading that out. Johnny says, I'm getting frustrated with United, losing so many games, lack of transfers and crap owners. City about to spend another 50 million. We're a joke, says Johnny. I know. I don't know where this City signing is coming from, but they're closing in on like £200 million worth of spending in a January transfer window, where apparently they were going to get done for cheating, which now they're probably not going to do. It's incredible. All right, I was looking at another deal there just to see. Okay, nothing going on there. Official, here we go. Man United have transferred their top 6 place to Villa to meet FFP and PSR, says Cruel. Evening, Mark. Not sure if you've watched the newest video. Yes, I have. It's been mentioned so many times. Pull the trigger. I didn't actually think it was that good, mate. I've got to be honest. I watched it. So many people told me to watch it, and I didn't think it was that good. I think it could have been a lot better. I thought it was okay as a starter video. Actually, to be fair, it's good as a starter video, but there's a lot more that could be in there. Caleb says, genuinely think Amorim got told either way, we sell Garnacho or you wait till the summer. I'm so exhausted of how badly we are run. Glazers out, Dick Turpin FC. And Rahul says, I super chatted this morning that if INEOS don't get a striker, then we failed Amorim. Won't blame him if he walked. I'm sorry, Ruben. They have let him down. I think we've put it in the title. Amorim let down by INEOS. They have let him down. You can back INEOS, you can back the Glazers, you can say we can't do it, this, that, and the other, but you're failing a manager for this simple reason. If you sack a manager halfway through the season and you convince a manager to come in, and it's now or never, and that team isn't suitable for his system, and then in the first transfer window, you do next to nothing, you're letting that manager down. I've said this before. You are destroying his statistical career. His win ratio at Sporting was very, very good. His win ratio at Man United is shit. You are damaging his career by bringing him in for 6 months and not helping him out. You are basically sending him like a cat to the slaughter. I don't know I can't remember what the saying is. But what is he supposed to do other than lose? Surely, and as for people comparing David Moyes at Everton with Amorim at Manchester United, what's David Moyes doing at Everton then? Is he playing tiki-taka or is he playing Moyes ball? The most simplest style of football that shit players can play. Everton players aren't very good. Like, they're relegation fodder. What are they doing? Let's keep it tight. Let's be good at set pieces. Let's focus on winning the second ball. I mean, if Amorim started doing that, he may as well piss off. He is a 3-4-3 tactician who wants to play a certain brand of football. He cannot go 4-4-2 and start going, let's keep it tight. Let's focus on winning second balls. Let's be direct. But there'll be some moron out there trying to compare it. I think this United team would do quite well under David Moyes at the moment because they've got low IQ. But that's not what Amorim was brought in to do. If you want us to play like Everton, get Gareth Southgate in. If you want shit football, get Gareth Southgate in. The results will be better, but it's not a results business at Man United. You've got to play well. You've got to try and fight for the title. If you want to just finish mid-table playing shit football, get David Moyes in. Get Gareth Southgate in. We're meant to be trying to get back to the top. So you've got to bring a manager in like Amorim with the style of football, and you've got to back him, and we haven't done it so far. Overpaying for Lord Maguire set the benchmarks as MVP Pete. INEOS are clowns, so much for an elite team with no backup plans. Same deadline chaos every time. If this incompetence doesn't unite fans, what will, says Shawnock. I don't understand the hate that Mainu and Garnacho get, promoted at an age where they need nurturing, and now all I see is hate, says Kalia. You'll never unite this fan base anyway, because United have reached out to certain groups and are trying to get them on side. So they've had their palms greased, haven't they? So there's some people who've got a cosy relation. I actually thought this today. I was communicating with somebody at Man United, and they were very helpful, and it will be discussed on the video tomorrow because I wanted to double check. I didn't want to put the video out and any part of it to be accused as being speculative. I wanted it to be absolutely correct because I haven't seen any of this information by any journalist before, which is a shame. You'll see it tomorrow. It's a shame. It's shameful that journalists haven't discussed this, but I wanted to get it right. So I spoke to somebody at Man United who is the right person to speak to. But when I was speaking to them and I was getting a bit of resistance, and I was being polite, and they were very polite and they were very helpful, it just dropped into my head. You're a nice person and you've given me some really good information, but you know when you were getting a little bit aggy with me, just remember, you are on the Glazers payroll and you are defending the Glazers here. I am a Man United fan who loves the club and cares about the club. And that's the problem. Anybody at United is effectively on the payroll of the Glazers. And anybody who is working with the club, who is a fan and thinks that's useful, needs to think about that. Because you are on the club is the Glazers club. You can't be the Glazers the worst thing ever and then have your foot in the ring. And that's the problem. And that's why we're divided, because there are elements of this fan base that have got relationships with the club and think that they can change it. But we've had 20 years of this. I don't think we can. And that's why I really hope it's going to work out with this INEOS idea, whatever it is. But for me, I will always say that I felt that we lost, and we just have to accept it, because I wanted the Glazers out, I wanted the debt gone, and I wanted a brand new owner. And it might have got worse. I'm not saying that the alternative would have been better, but I'd have took my chances. I'd 100% took my chances with somebody that was going to clear the debt and invest in the club over what we've got at the moment. Are they not taking more patient approach? Isn't that what we asked for? No need for signings they don't believe in or they think rip us off. I'm trying to understand your angle, Chris. Are you happy with that? Are you happy with a more patient approach? Are you happy with watching your team get beaten at home every week? Are you happy with the fact that we are being patient because we don't have any money because the people who own the club have put us in debt? I don't mind being patient, mate, but what are we being patient for, and what are the factors behind the patience? This is what I mean. I think it's just spin. And I don't think you're the only one who's being spun. Why should we be happy with being patient? Patience is absolutely fine. Patience with Garnacho because he's 20 and he's developing, yes. Same with Mainu. Patience in that way, yes, I completely agree with it. Patience with Amorim because he's a new manager, been thrown into a shit situation, absolutely. Patience is a very, very valid word in such situations that require patience. Why do we require patience with INEOS and the Glazers? Why do we need a patience approach? Because we haven't got any money. Why haven't we got any money? Is it because of them? Yeah. So why do we need to be patient then? Are we in the bottom half of the league looking shit? Whose fault's that then? Yeah. Oh, is it the Glazers and INEOS? Yeah. Okay. So why am I being patient then? And has any other football club just sat there and gone, we've got to wait for a while? Like, what are we being patient for? I flip that around. Could we have taken a risk? Should we have taken a risk? Hey, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being patient. I'm just telling you why I think it's wrong. I don't think we should be patient because if somebody said to me, right, you can pay £5 million for Tell now and we'll win the Europa League, but then he will go back to Bayern. So it's 5 million gone, but we'll win the Europa League. Or you don't get Tell, we still win the Europa League, and in the summer we get Gyökeres. I'd go, right, okay, well, don't get Tell. Don't spend the 5 million. Because we're going to win the Europa League anyway, and we're going to get Gyökeres. But the worrying thing is, we're being asked to be patient, but if we don't win the Europa League, we won't have any money. So I'd have took the risk. I'd have took the risk because there is jeopardy. There is no guarantee that we will get a top striker in the summer, and there is no guarantee that we'll be in Europe. So there is very big jeopardy. So I would have took the risk. I'm not answering anything you say, Red Army, because I've finally come to the conclusion that you are a troll that sits at home and laughs at how you wind me up. And I should have figured it out years ago. So I'm just not reading you out anymore. Sorry. It's up to you if you do super chats. I just won't read them. If Amorim leaves, it's going to be difficult to get a good manager after they see what they did, says Vic. And Raymond says, Mark, my dad doesn't understand how you can get paid 300k a week to play a sport and you can't give your all every day. Doesn't make sense to anyone. Love the content. He doesn't even watch football, by the way, says Raymond. Well, he sounds like a better owner than we've got. Thank you, Chris Howard, as well. And such a disappointing transfer window, says Go. Sadly, not surprising. It's remarkable how incompetent we are. Clearly not working for City now, but telling Pep to change the system. But nobody's telling Pep to change the system. Exactly, Marty. Exactly. It's just a United pylon. Roy says, is INEOS planned to linger around in mid-table as long as it doesn't cost big wages for a few years? What else could it be with no investment, says Roy. But have you noticed at United that our wage bill's coming down? Have you noticed that the wage bill is coming down and we're going down the league? It's almost like if you keep getting rid of players and you don't replace them, then you're going to be in trouble. I mean, if you said to me, wage bill's coming down and the club is going down, I'd be like, this is a bad sign. Now, that doesn't mean that the players we're getting rid of, I mean, I've got no problem with Anthony going. I've got no problem with Rashford going, but you do need to replace them, and we're not replacing them. So, to me, it looks like a fire sale. It looks like a cost-cutting exercise. Austerity. Sir Alex Ferguson lost his job. Like, people have lost their job. Charities, it just looks like trim to survive. Community should focus on clearing the debt, says Keel. Andre Heaven will be a revelation with Luke Shaw as an understudy. I mean, Neil, I just think you're just not helping. I know you're trying to help, but I just think you're not helping. This is a kid that's never played for Arsenal, and now he's going to be a revelation. This is what worries me about certain aspects of our fan base. They are Glazer meat. The Glazers must love you. They must absolutely love you because you're so easily pleased. You're so easy to kid. So, Heaven plays for Man United. Well, I'll tell you straight away, he's going to have to play like Virgil van Dijk for the first 10 games because if he makes one mistake, he's going to be shit. Because that's how some elements of our fan base work as well. Heaven, more like hell. And I'm the person who's going to bloody back the kid. But I know that some I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Have we gone after Garnacho? Have we gone after Mainu? Have we gone after Ugarte? Have we gone after De Ligt? Yes, our fan base have done it. So, patience. Good luck with that one, mate. We haven't been in the top half of the table at all this season. I genuinely feel a relegation battle with no summer recruitment. We need to win the Europa League, says Jay. And Aidan says, me and my dad are from America. Just paid for a trip to Old Trafford to see the West Ham game. Hate to support this ownership, but a dream come true, says Aidan. Mate, I'll just tell you a story, actually. You know, I took Seb to watch Man United, his first game against Brentford. I mean, what a game to go to. It's one of the few games at home we've won. I mean, what a pick. Anyway, he said to me last week, he says, oh, I want to go and watch, I want to go again. And I was like, okay, we'll have a look at that. So I was having a look at some fixtures, and he was like, I want to go where you get the dinner first. So it's like hospitality, isn't it? You can go. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can go Red Cafe. You just get some food before. He likes the whole build up. So I was like, okay, let's do that. Can't get anything. Nothing between now and the end of the season. It's all gone. So United are absolutely shit. We're absolutely shit, and it's going to get worse. And most of our games, home games, are still virtually sold out. And there endeth your lesson. Play shit and they will come. There is no stop to this money coming in for these owners, and they know it. And they know that if we had 100,000 capacity, they'd still fill it for Leicester on Friday as well, because they will still come. They will still come. I would still go. I'd have bought a ticket. So how do you stop that? Liverpool got Hicks and Gillette out and it nearly finished the club. United are on the same trajectory, says Seamus. Mark, you've really nailed it, says Rob. And hi, Mark, if we get a new stadium, we will never be able to sell the club because it's going to add 2 billion in debt, total 3 billion, and no one will clear it. Watch tomorrow morning, mate. You're not actually right. Glazers waiting for Divendino to come back, says Wade. And will we know the outcome of next season before it even starts after this summer's transfer window, says Spin. Any injury to Ahmad or Garnacho and we're in big trouble. Mate, it's so true. It's such a scary but true point, Ali. Should we try Obi Martin? Yeah, I can't wait for us to chuck a 17-year-old up front, and then when he misses a sitter, everyone can burn him as well. It terrifies me that this is the answer that some people have got. I actually heard, I got sent a clip today. I'm not going to shout the person out. I won't give them the steam off my piss. And they were basically saying, the season's over anyway. Why not throw a few kids in April and May? And I was like, you're a United fan, mate. Like, you've spoken about United for years. How can you come out with such a stupid comment? Let's throw the kids in April and May. Yeah, because you know what? I've got to say, the United fan base is just so accommodating at the moment. It really is. If you put a few of the kids on now, maybe let's do it in the home game against, I don't know, who have we got at home in April and May? I don't know. Have we got a home game against Man City? Maybe we could do them in that game. But when we're 7-0 down, it won't matter because it won't damage those young players because everyone will be cheering them and clapping and holding hands. I wish it was as easy just to throw the kids in, but I've never, when has this ever been a thing to do this? I remember Ollie doing it final day once. Clash of 92 against Aston Villa. Oh, what? With Roy Keane, Premier League winner. Peter Schmeichel, Premier League winner. Dennis Irwin, Premier League winner. Yeah, we did throw the kids in that day. We got beat as well, but they were surrounded by experienced Premier League world-class players. Let's throw kids in to the shittest United side ever that's going for our worst ever Premier League points total and worst ever tally of losses in a season. I tell you what, why not do it? How could it fail? But you know what it does do? The fact that people are talking about that, it actually exposes what a fucking mess we're in. What an absolute shit show it is. Because it is. It really is. A Garnacho or Ahmad injury away from chaos. Rahul says Glazers out, movement needs to start again. Josh says I can sort you out. Tickets in hospitality. Send me a message. Thanks, Josh. Mark, you have such a big reach. Can you not start something against the Glazers? Dejan, this sort of thing annoys me as well. We did a video last week explaining PSR in a way that nobody has been asked to do. Step 1. Tomorrow, why the Glazers won't sell Man United. Step 2. There's other things we're trying to do as well, but we can't do it on our own. All right, it's a big community, but there's also people who hate this community. So unless those people are willing to join forces and talk, then nothing will happen. I know as well as you know, I can't go and go, let's start doing this. Let's have a protest because people will go, Forest fan. So, look, I'm real. I think we've always been willing to support things and we've always said this protest, that protest. But if other groups and people aren't willing to come together, then it will never work, Dejan, and that is very sad. But we will support things. We always have supported things, and we've had conversations and everything with groups before, and we will do again. But at the moment, I can tell you there's nothing planned around protests and stuff like that. It's very quiet at the moment, isn't it? Samuel Luckhurst is the worst spin doctor ever, says Matthew. He's a terrible journalist, mate. He's a terrible analysis of football, and he's a terrible journalist, in my opinion, because he just puts rubbish out there. He doesn't ask questions of the people who are giving him the information. And he's not the only one. He's not the only one. I don't think there's many Man United journalists out there that actually do journalism anymore. They're just mouthpieces for whoever it is who give them the information. They don't check it. They don't challenge it. Amorim a good coach, but and look, I'm not saying anything out of piece there. I think modern football journalism around Manchester United especially is client journalism, and that is here's some information, and they type it out. That's not journalism. There's so many stories that could be written about Man United. There's so many interesting things that could be discussed around Man United starting tomorrow with the thing that we're going to discuss. I think it's amazing that nobody's actually discussed it yet. And I think, as I say, in some ways, I think it's quite a positive. The Glazers aren't going to go anywhere, but it still could be something to cling on to. We need a prolonged period of organised protest, not just the end of every transfer window. We need everyone to band together, together. We stand divided, we will fail, says Narnbread. But you know what, Narnbread, and a lot of people would agree with me on this. If Amorim starts winning and the team start playing well, and there's a few stories about buying Quenda and Gyökeres, it'll all shut up. You know it will. And that's the game the Glazers. That's the game the Glazers say. That's how they work. J.E. says a Glazers sale will either be due to them getting a huge number or the club falling apart and they sell a declining asset. Which is more likely right now is obvious. I hope they just get bored soon. And eventually a big wage or our history isn't going to be enough to attract players. I think you're right, Mark. We'll be like Everton for young players, as Alex said. And I think Dorgu will help the shape, but not getting in one attacker is going to lead to a reliance on Mainu, Garnacho and Ahmad, which leads to burnout last year. I think United is counting on Shaw and Mount, sadly, says Omar N. And Goldio says, do you agree with Ricky and Maud's that McTominay would be good in Amorim's system? We've been exposed this transfer window and Villa have done a madness. I think this is a great point, but I can answer this. It doesn't matter whether you think selling McTominay was a good thing or a bad thing. I thought it was a good deal. I do. Do I think McTominay would be useful quite now? Well, clearly a player like that would be useful because he actually gives a shit. But there is no one to blame about McTominay. There is no fans to blame. There is no Ten Hag to blame. There's nobody to blame other than an inability from the owners to remove Casemiro. Manchester United wanted to sell Casemiro in the summer. They couldn't do it, so they had to sell McTominay. And that's the story. And their end of the lesson. McTominay is playing for Napoli because we couldn't move out Casemiro. Ten Hag didn't want McTominay to go. He wanted Casemiro to go. And we had to get rid of McTominay so that we could do the Agate deal, which we had to do. McTominay couldn't play holding midfielder. Agate can. We needed a Casemiro replacement, but we didn't let Casemiro go. And that's what happened. Revo says you wanted to sell him. Yes, I did. I did want to sell McTominay. But we wouldn't have sold McTominay. The question was, would McTominay have done a job because Ricky and Maud said he was? It wasn't listen to the question. And listen to the answer. I said I thought it was a good deal and I would have sold him. But the question was, do you agree with Ricky and Maud's that McTominay would be a good player now? And my answer was, it doesn't matter. Because McTominay would only be here if Casemiro had got sold, and he didn't. So McTominay got sold. So that's your answer to the question. The hypothetical doesn't matter. Because if Casemiro had gone, then he wouldn't be here. We pay players who do nothing for the club millions, yet hand out P45s to staff who do more than any players have been at the club for years. We're not a football club anymore. We're just a business. 100% we're just a business. People are being sacked for money. Do we have a buyback clause for Palestri, says Isaac? Don't know. Probably. West Ham get Ferguson. Why couldn't we, says Quinstar. Mate, probably couldn't afford it. Can we still sign teamless players? No, we never do that either. Glazers are clergy promising you heaven while depriving you of all the pleasure in this life. Always the next transfer window, says Kia. And do you feel there are too many issues at the club? It's too difficult for the manager, says Constantine. Yeah, there are too many issues, and we're not removing those issues. Brian McDonough, all this cost cutting without paying any of the debt is like trying to fix up a sinking boat, but continue to let it leak, says Brian. And Non-Bread says, I've done that one from him. We got rid of too many decent players, Fred, Cavani, etc., gone forward under the rebuild mantra, but haven't got the means to see it through. May as well have stuck with what we had. It was better than this. That was from Goldio. And Sammy says, bought the club on debt. When there is nothing more to milk, it let a Pratt in for a bit. Now Sir Jim is going to get them funded, stadium and real estate that will have dividends rolling again for years. Watch the video at 7. Okay, I'm nearly done because the transfer window's shut, so I'm not going through till 11. Malacia has gone on loan to PSV. That was a bit of news that I know Beth and everyone was talking about. Tell has gone to Spurs, and Manchester United's transfer window is shut. That is the end of that. Time to rise. That was the death of INEOS, says Rozzy. I would suggest you go and have a bath, you go for a walk, you go down the gym, you get the PlayStation on, you put a film on, you get Netflix on, Black Doves is good, American Primeval is good. Just take some time tonight, today, this morning, whatever it is for you, because it's over. This transfer window is over, and we're now walking into what I would say is a scary few months where we're ridiculously short on players. We're ridiculously short on players that can actually play the system of the manager, and it's all or nothing on the Europa League. And statistically, I think the chances of winning the Europa League, which is what I said we would do, are diminishing massively. It is hope now, and it's going to take a bloody miracle. MUFC Simo says, I'm stuck at work. Take the rest of the day off. Tell your boss he's a prat. Tell him Goldbridge says he can have the day off. Thanks everybody for watching. There ain't nothing going to happen under United now. What I would say is tomorrow morning, or whatever the time is, 7 a.m. UK time, watch the video tomorrow. I think you'll find it quite interesting. And I'll be very interested to read the comments on what your interpretation is, because it's all been checked. It is all true. But what you think about it might not be what I think about it. But it does involve the Glazers. And it is something we've sat on for a few days because I wanted the window to be closed, because I think it's very important to discuss about why they didn't sell the club and why they're not going to go anywhere, because they've got definite value in that football club that they want to realise. And it is around some of the things that we've been discussing, but a hell of a lot more. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you for the video at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Take care. Thanks for watching.